योगस्थ कुरु कर्माणि संगं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्य सिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते.
Wherever there is a noble soul, there is a trail of beautiful memories, events, and experiences. A very warm welcome to all of you to the 100th birthday commemoration of Dr. K.R. Shroff. Thank you for joining Shroff family and Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation for this event. Today, I am over here to take you through the glimpses of Dr. K.R. Shroff's life. Dr. K.R. Shroff was born in Ahmedabad. He spent his childhood in inner cities of Ahmedabad, Ghansi Ramni Pod. He went to Gujarat College for 2 years. Then he went to KEM Mumbai for his MBBS. In 1947, he went to Royal College of Physicians, London for MRCP and DTH. Then he came back to Ahmedabad and started his clinical practice. In 50s, he was the youngest physician to receive MRCP and start practice in Gujarat. His life was pretty much hectic. His working hours were from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with a small break in between. So he has to start his day early in the morning. One of his daily regime was exercising. He gently nudged his son for exercising as well. Even in his hectic life, he made sure to teach his son English for 1 hour daily. As a father is always a role model to his son, and son attempts to follow his father's footsteps. So let's have our first conversation with Mr. Pratul Shroff. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
It's my pleasure to be over here and ask you questions related to your father and your childhood. So my first question is, how was your childhood and how was your relationship with your father in childhood?
Interesting question. So my childhood actually was fairly traumatic. Not too many people know about it. Physically, I was very weak, and if I run for like 100 feet or 200 feet, I don't remember, I would actually vomit. I'll throw up. And my dad, being a physician, obviously he could take care of it. He took good care of that. I remember the taste of cod liver oil, which was my regular diet at that time, among other things. But more importantly, I was also a loner. I was a fairly lonely child. Maybe I was depressed, I don't know, but I was not happy at all. He realized that, and he realized that socially he is not very well adjusted. So there was an institute called BM Institute, which treated the ill-adjusted children by counseling, having the counselors who are experts in dealing with the children. So I had several sessions, and it certainly helped me. I still have the visuals in my mind about some of those sessions, and I'm seriously grateful and thankful for that. The reason is, if you think about it, back in 1950s, for a father to recognize that the child is socially not well adjusted and take professional help without worrying about the stigma or how it will look or whatever, right? It's very unusual and shows the love and the care for the child. So again, I am eternally grateful and thankful to my father and my mother for lavishing care, love, and consideration on me.
What were his views on upbringing kids and education?
He was fairly unusual. So although he went to London and came back and thoroughly well versed in English, he believed that child development happens best in the vernacular language. He was very clear about that. So even though at that time there was a fad to put the kids in the English school, he insisted that I'll go to the Gujarati school, and he put me in the Sheth CN Vidyalaya school, which I believe was a very fortunate decision for me. Uh, because the kind of friends I made that, but not only that, some of the Gandhian values I absorbed at CN Vidyalaya really helped me and held me in good state later in my life when there were crises there. At the same time, he understood that English is the global language, and if one has to do well in life, then he really needs to have good command over English. So as a result, he would personally teach me English way early in the morning, around 8 in the morning, while he was shaving and showering and getting ready. And I realized much later in my life that he had a fairly hectic schedule, busy like from 9 in the morning till 9 in the night. And in that kind of busy schedule, to take out time and make sure that I learn English, I consider it very unusual, and I'm thankful for that. I think as a parent, he believed that a child has his own individual or her own individual personality, his own way of her own way of thinking. A child is an individual. He is not an object just because you are a parent. So he very strongly believed in that, and therefore he rarely imposed his thoughts or his will on me as a child. He hardly dictated anything to me and let me develop as I wanted to. And I think that was a great thing, and I hope a lot of parents do that.
Commonly, it is seen in Indian society that son has good bond with mother, but in your case, it is different. It seems like your father was your silent, true best friend. I would really like to know more on this bond.
Well, I don't think he was best friend. First of all, I don't think he was a friend. Forget about being a silent best friend. You got to remember that in 60s and 70s there was a huge distance between parents and children. At least that's what my experience was. So there was a fair amount of fear in all the kids, and they maintained a certain distance as much as possible from their parents. Same thing in my case. But I had, for whatever reasons, I had immense respect for my dad. Tremendous amount of respect. And I also feared him, partly because he was a father, and partly because he was very principled, very disciplined, and all of that, right? So his routine and his way of doing things were pretty set at a fairly high standards in my mind. So when you combine the very high amount of respect, immense respect, coupled with the fear, coupled with a person who is a highly principled person, you kind of stay away as much as possible. So there was no special bond per se in childhood.
Sir, why you did not become a doctor?
Oh, for the very simple reason that my dad was a doctor in a certain sense. When I was a child, I saw him working from 9 in the morning till 9 in the night almost, maybe with a break of a couple of hours in the afternoon. But to me, that was a pretty hard life. On top of that, he would get up at 12 in the morning, in the midnight, or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. for a visit. And my little mind of a teenager said, this is hard work, this is very tough. You don't want to do this for the rest of your life. So that was the reason number one. Reason number two, subconsciously, unconsciously, I guess I was a rebellious child. So if my dad is going to be doctor, I have to be something different. I have to prove myself. I can't take anybody's help in doing whatever I want to do. Maybe that was the second reason. And the third reason with which I justified myself is because at that time electronics was just starting, and I was always very curious in terms of the how radio produces sound, or how tape recorder exactly replicates your sound or your voice or music or whatever. So curiosity was so intense that I had to know all of that. And so consequently, early in life, around 9th grade, 10th grade, I decided that I'll be an electronics engineer.
Parents give instruction constantly and keep on advising to their children. What are your experiences?
So actually, I'm glad that he didn't give me too much advice or give me a stream of instruction continuously on a daily or monthly basis. He was a man of very few words, very quiet person, as I said before, and therefore rarely, insisted on doing certain things. Uh, but there are a very select few things that he chose upon, in which he would insist and nudge me towards them. Two of them, one is exercise. Right from childhood, he kind of insisted on me having an exercise routine, and I continued that from the early age of 15 through now 68, on and off, and I believe it has served me well. And the second was meditation. Tried to teach me meditation in my 30s, but I didn't have enough brains to continue with that. Partly because I got sucked into the daily life and profession and daily humdrum. But in last year and a half, I got a lot more time and I started doing meditation. And I wish I would have done it in 30s and 40s. My life would have been even richer if I had done that. The other incident that comes to me is that when I was in USA, I was kind of in two minds whether to come back to India or not. So I was corresponding that should I come back, should I not come back? And frankly speaking, I knew I was going to make my own decision, but it looks good to ask your parents, right? So I asked him that question probably. And he wrote just one line that, Dikra, know your dharma and know your karma. And here dharma is not religion, but dharma is as in your duties, your responsibilities, your obligations towards people around you, towards community, towards society. And karma is a set of actions that you are going to perform throughout your life. And in that sense, not the action of brushing your teeth, but what are you going to do with your life? What is the sense of the purpose for your life? And that sentence, that one line shook me to the core. And that was another defining moment for my life. And it changed the course of my life because I decided to come back to India. Thanks to that line and thanks to that one piece of suggestion.
What were his qualities as human being that you admire?
By now, every day I discover new qualities. I have started knowing my father more and more in last 20, 30 years. But first and foremost, I recognize that he was deeply spiritual. Somewhere he believed that the universe is way too vast. He didn't believe in any particular deity or any particular religion or anything like that. He didn't believe in any rituals per se, but he certainly believed that there is an energy, there is a Shakti, there is somebody who has created the universe and is running it in a certain sense. And if you think about it, there are so many stars out there and galaxies, right? Zillions of stars. It's said that there are more stars in the universe than the particles of sand in all the beaches of the planet Earth combined, just to give you the idea of the vastness. And in that one planet, there are 7-8 billion people living, and we are just one of them. I think he had a deep realization of that. So he really was on a path of doing Antar Khoj or Atma Khoj or connecting to God. And I kind of saw all of that. At that time, I was not into it, but later on, I realized that he was deeply spiritual. Number two, he was completely 110% dedicated, devoted, committed to his profession, medicine as a profession. And to the extent that one can say, in Gita there is a slok that if you have kaushalta or if you are nipun in the work that you are doing, right, karma you are doing, then you are sort of karma yogi. So at least in my eyes and in my mind, he was a karma yogi from that perspective. Third thing, tons and tons of humility, and you will see that in the ensuing videos that he did not have any air about him. Very humble personality, and always treated everybody equal with respect and dignity, right? Fourth thing, or fifth thing, I don't remember, but whatever it is, there was a certain amount of alignment in his thoughts, speech, and action, Vichar, Vani, Vartan. There was an ek sutrata in the sense that whatever he said and whatever he thought, whatever he said and whatever he did, there were no contradictions. I mean, today I see a lot of people where they think something, then they say something, and then they act completely differently. None of us that. So as a result, he was a very simple man, and clarity was amazing in his thought. These are some of the things I remember as his virtues, so to speak. On top of that, he was also as I said, he was very simple, but on top of that, he was also very transparent and honest. And that resulted, as I said, from having that Ek Sutrata in Vichar, Vani and Vartan. He didn't care about any fame or recognition. As a matter of fact, he believed in Guptadan, and my Fui always said that his left hand didn't know what his right hand was doing, and his right hand didn't know what his left hand was doing. Later, after his passing away in 1989, I came to know that he really helped a lot of students to put through BJ Medical College when they were in need for fees and getting through the college. At the same time, he helped a lot of patients with the medicine and the food and whatever was required as and when. And sometimes if somebody came and didn't have enough money for consulting fees, he'll just accept whatever that person had. So from that perspective, he also probably did a lot of Guptadan and believed in that, and he followed it very strictly.
Did you ever go to his clinic? And what was your experience?
So I went there a few times, but remember that this was in 60s and 70s, and his clinic was no picnic. There was a waiting room, and then there was his examination cabin for patients, fairly small clinic room, and very old British style furniture, which probably was 15, 20, 30 years old. And what amazed me was that he was okay with it. I was not okay with it, and I used to bug him that, why didn't you change this furniture? It looks so old. And he said, how does it matter? It doesn't matter. So that always kind of, at that time, annoyed me. But when I look back, to me it points to the simplicity. That what was important to him is the higher values in life than worrying about the materialistic things. First time I went there, there were patients in the waiting room, and I clearly took my turn in the waiting turn in the patient's line. And I think I waited good hour and a half. Again, when I look back, why did not I barge in? Because this was my father's, as they say, my father's clinic, so I can do that. I think I did not because of several reasons. Probably at that time, I believed he was a very principled man, number one. I had immense respect for him, number two. And I also feared him because of the principles and the respect and his way of conduct and all of that. So I kind of imagined that he may not like me barging in, and that's why I didn't barge in. The amazing part was once I went in, he didn't say anything like, why didn't you come in earlier or any of that sort. So that was his private practice in Bombay Mitchell building on Relief Road.
How are you and your father different?
That's a very tough question. Let me think about that. So first and foremost, he was very gentle soul. Hardly lost his temper. He did lose his temper, but very rare event. I, on the other hand, is a fairly short-tempered guy, and people working with me bear the brunt of it. Although I'm trying to change, and I believe I have changed in the last 10-15 years, still I have a long way to go. Second thing is his mannerism was always gentle. He came across as a very gentle person with whoever he interacted with. My mannerism, on the other hand, and my language, mannerism is certainly abrasive and sometimes it borders on rude. If I don't like the behavior of the other person, and for the most part of my life, I have not been considerate about the feeling of the others. So, in other words, the kind of a caring and a gentle person he was with the others, I certainly have not been that for the most of my life, except maybe last 5-6 years. He was also more humanitarian. I'm kind of getting there, but most of my life I have not been very humanitarian. And when I say humanitarian, it's about caring in totality about other humans. Not only one aspect like education, but all the aspects like well-being, healthcare, all of that. He discharged his duties and obligations towards his family unbelievably well. I think that has been an area of failure for me. And one more thing. He very strongly believed in Guptadan. So I also believed in Guptadan for my life, and therefore when we started Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation and did the contribution to the various trusts and all of that, we did not, nobody knew about that. It was fairly quiet affair. But lately I am kind of changing my mind and disagreeing with my dad. And maybe that's because the way the society was 60 years ago and 70 years ago was very different than the way the society is today. But I believe that probably we need more examples and more, the youngsters today and the society at large today. Probably if they know more about the work of Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation as an example, then maybe they will also think about it and will be motivated to do something good for the society or do something for somebody else and all of that. So not from the purpose or the objective of satisfying ego, if you will, or saying that ye main kar raha hu, but more from the bhavna of motivating others and providing an example. I believe that whatever you do, a fair amount of knowledge distribution among the people can be overall good for the society. So those are the differences between my father and me that I can think of.
Which are the things that you took from him at heart?
Several of them. As I mentioned before, exercise is one of them, and it has held me in good stead throughout my life. Second thing was meditation. I woke up way later in life, but I always realized its value and am thankful to him for that. The third thing was his devotion, dedication and commitment to his profession. Knowingly or unknowingly, through the imitation, through the observing his behavior, I believe that I kind of got into the same way of doing things, which is a complete dedication to my profession and the focus and discipline to execute that. Other thing I really cherished is that he didn't care too much about the money. And I think that's something that I have imbibed from his, that money is amoral. You can use money for good or bad. It's totally up to you. So I particularly don't care for money that much. These are the things that I remember. These are the things which are with me day in and day out, that I always remember and practice almost on a daily basis. The other thing which is very unusual is my own spiritual awakening, which happened on his passing away in 1989, and the sequence of events and some of the crises in my life that happened after that. And I think so, if I look at that, my spiritual journey started actively around that, and that was his best parting gift to me. And that continues till date. I'm not there yet, long way to go, but at least I've started practicing and doing more and more of it. So I do meditation these days after parting with Info Chips almost on a daily basis for half an hour. I hope to increase it to about an hour, and with luck and grace of God, maybe even more so in the coming years. And also carries values and some of the things that I just talked about, right? Not caring for money, empathy for others, doing things for others through Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation, compassion for other people through Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation. I hope to multiply several times over the coming years. You know, the last thing I remember is a famous saying by a famous American author, Mark Twain. He said a very funny, very humorous, and yet very touching line that Mark Twain said that when I was a 14-year-old boy, my father was so ignorant that I could not stand the old man. By the time I turned 21, I was astonished how much the old man had learned in 7 years. Well, I guess Mark Twain must have been lucky to have that realization in 7 years. In my case, that realization has taken maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, and it still continues, and that process has not ended. The same Mark Twain also said another line. My old man was an amazing man. The older I got, the smarter he got. I think that's a just immemorable line that I'll always remember.
Thank you so much, Pratul Bhai, for those insights. This was mesmerizing, and I am deeply moved with this conversation, and I feel lucky to have you as my guru. And
Wait a minute. Don't go overboard. First of all, thank you very much for those very good and actually relevant questions. So I think a lot of it happened because the questions were good. And so far as making me a guru, be aware of what you ask.
yeah,
Because your life will be very tough if you accept me as a guru.
no, a world would get Genal 3.0 once again.
Wow.
So I'm not
Okay.
worried about that. And I had already prayed to God that now I want someone in my life who can take the position of my mother, like values and passion that she was having and dedication for the work, with the mixture of spiritual awakening
Okay.
that you have. And
I'm not
this
doing
chat
such
session
thing. I'm not
would
doing such
not
thing.
only inspired the upcoming generation, but for today's parent also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the compliment.
We heard about Dr. Shroff from his son, but son would always have high regards for his father and may exaggerate. So let us balance this out by looking at the conversation of some of his former students and relatives and see how he was as a person, how was his attitude towards life, people and other things.
Dr. Shroff Sahib was extremely polite, a symbol of peace, and a perfect gentleman. I've never seen him upset or angry. Every student, nurses, staff members, everyone loved him. He treated everyone with extreme love and care.
જે મોરલ્સ હાઈ મોરલ્સ એટીટ્યુડ એન્થુઝિયાસ્ટમ અને કેરિંગ પર્સનાલિટી જે જોઈ છે એવી હું માનું છું આઈ હેવ નેવર સીન ઇન એની અધર પર્સન. અમે સાહેબ રિટાયર વહેલા થયા એ વખતે એવું હતું કે ઓનરરશીપ કોઈ જલ્દી છોડે નહીં, પણ સાહેબે એમનો ટેન્યોર જે 58 વર્ષનું હોય એ પૂરું ના કર્યું પણ થોડા વહેલા રિટાયર થયા, એટલે બીજા કોઈને બી ઓનરરશીપનો ચાન્સ મળે.
And he will also give scholarship to the poor medical student where he is not involved directly, but he will give money to the Dean Medical College to give them scholarship where the person who is receiving money will not be aware that his money is given by the Dr. K.R. Shroff. So he is a totally a charitable humanitarian. In present scenario, it looks like a good to the society. So he should be a role model. He's a role model, and whatever the best virtues and values need to be followed by all the doctors of the society.
Very kind, honest gentleman. He was a man of very few words, but when he said something, it was very effective and people paid attention to it. The other characteristic that he had was he was not only the mentor for me, but subsequently over a period of time, he became the fatherly figure for me. He was very intellectual, but you can never see him bragging about himself.
એકદમ સ્પષ્ટ, નિખાલસ અને ટુ ધ પોઈન્ટ, અને ગરીબો પર અપાર દયા એમની. મને ખ્યાલ છે ત્યાં સુધી કે કોઈ ગરીબ દર્દી હોય તો એનું દુઃખ એમને પોતે લઈ લીધું હોય તેવું તે અનુભવતા.
એ માયાળુ અને વેરી કન્સિડરેટ હતા. બધાનો વિચાર કરી અને એ કરતા. એ વિચારમાં પછી એ ડોક્ટર હોય કે વોર્ડ બોય હોય હોસ્પિટલમાં, એ બધાને એક સરખી નજરે જોતા. જે દિલની અંદરથી જે હમદર્દ પેશન્ટ દર્દીઓ માટેની હમદર્દી, તેમજ બીજા લોકોને પણ જે એસોસિએટ જે દર્દીઓની સાથે હોય એ બધાની મુશ્કેલી એ સમજતા હતા. દેટ વોઝ અ ગ્રેટ થિંગ. મને લાગે છે કે એ એમને પાસે જે મારી પર્સનલી શીખવા જેવું એ હતું. કેટલીક વસ્તુ જે એમની પાસે શીખ્યો છું, એક one of them is honesty. He was honest to the core અને believed in equality. સૌ સરખા છે. apart from the medical side, એ ખાસ એ જોયું હતું. એ જુએ નહીં પેશન્ટ ગરીબ છે, પૈસાદાર છે, કયા ધર્મનો છે. all are equal and all are given the same line of treatment. Not only that, એ એમના સગાવાલાઓને, એમના રિલેટિવ્સને બી પૂછે કે કંઈક અગવડ, ધારો કે ખૂબ જ ગરીબ એ હોય તો કોઈક વખત અમને થોડા પૈસા આપી દે અને કહેજો અને કહી દે કે એના રિલેટિવ્સનો ખાવા કરવાનું તમે જરા બંદોબસ્ત કરી આપજો. ઇટ વોઝ that humanitarian approach towards patient was a great thing to be learned.
એમના સ્વભાવ પ્રમાણે બહુ સાલસ અને એવા નોબલ સ્વભાવના કે સામા માણસને કેવી રીતે ઉપયોગમાં થઈ શકીએ એ જ કાયમ એમની વૃત્તિ. કૃષ્ણકાંત મામા ડોક્ટર તો ખરા, પણ ઓરિજિનલ એમનો પોતાનો સ્વભાવ અને પોતાનો એપ્રોચ પેશન્ટ પ્રત્યે, સગાવાલા પ્રત્યે, મિત્રો પ્રત્યે કે સમાજ પ્રત્યે એમનો એપ્રોચ એટલો સરસ હતો કે એમના મનમાં કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ નહીં અને કોઈનું પણ સહેજ પણ આગુ પાછું થાય તો એમને તરત મેન્ટલી અસર કરે કે હું આને કેવી રીતે સુધારું. આવો એમનો સ્વભાવ હતો.
માનવતાથી ભરપૂર, પોતે દુઃખ હોય તે પણ બીજાને સુખ આપે એવા માણસ હતા. એક દાખલો હું કહું, અમે નાનપણે રમતા હતા, સાંજ પડી અને અમારે સગાનું ઘર બનતું હતું તો પેલા મામા દાદરા માટે ફ્રેમ ચડી પણ દાદરો મૂકેલો નહીં. તે હું પહેલાં ગઈ એટલે હું પડી ગઈ ત્યાંથી, એટલે મારી પાછળ એમને ગભરા, એમને થયું બહેન પડી ગઈ એટલે મારી પાસે પડ્યા તો મને કશું ના થયું ને એમને અહીંયા પગની અંદરથી આખો માઉસનું રોચો જ નીકળી ગયો, કંઈક વાગ્યું હતું. તે છતાંય એ મને મારા પાડોશીની ચકડીએ પાણી લઈ અને મને મારા હાથ પગ જોડાયા. એટલા બધા મજૂરો આવતા હતા કે सब साहब का पाँव छूने दो, पीछे हम एक मिनट नहीं ठहरेंगे, चले जाएंगे એમ કરીને એમના પગની રદ લઈને કે એમને ચાલી જઈશું. એટલું બધું એટલે કેટલું કામ એને મજૂરોમાં કર્યું હશે કે એ લોકોને ખબર પડી, દોડતા આવ્યા.
પપ્પાની જન્મ શતાબ્દી નિમિત્તે જ્યારે પ્રતુલભાઈએ મને 2 શબ્દો બોલવાનું કહ્યું ત્યારે ખૂબ જ બધા સંસ્મરણો પતંગિયાની જેમ દિમાગમાં પાંખ ફટફડવા માંડ્યા. પણ પપ્પા મૃદુ અને મિતભાષી હતા, એટલે એમના વ્યક્તિત્વને બી ન્યાય કરવા માટે જો એમનું વર્ણન કરવું હોય તો સેલ્ફલેસ સર્વિસ, હમ્બલ નેચર અને અનકન્ડિશનલ લવ, એ ત્રણે જો એક જ પડીકામાં બાંધી દઈએ તો મારા પપ્પા.
That was amazing and truly inspiring. I am sure that inspired Pratul Bhai to start the foundation named after him. Let's meet Pratul Bhai once again and know how foundation was born.
I moved back to India actually for two major reasons. Number one, to be close to my parents, and number two, do something for the society. I was 36 around that time, 33. And because I had to establish my own business and got busy with that, I never got around doing anything for the society for a long time. In 2001, the earthquake happened in Bhuj, which was absolutely terrible. Literally, thousands of people were rendered homeless and they migrated to Ahmedabad. My wife Pooja decided to open up a shelter program for those people, and like-minded people came together and provided shelter for about 3,000 to 4,000 people at that time. As these like-minded people came together, the idea was born that why don't we do something else as well? And within 1 or 2 years, the idea of providing the very high quality education or the same education that the private schools provide, to provide that to these poor or underprivileged children. And that's how the Visamo Kids was born. At that time I decided to start the foundation named after my dad, Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation, and the first act was to give the money for the land and the building for housing about 150 Visamo kids. And this is how the Visamo Kids was born. Let's take a very brief look at the Visamo Kid facility and talk to one of the children as well.
We are extremely thankful to Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation for being the prime donor, for the unconditional support, for the cause, and for being a generous guide in sheltering the Visamo Kids. Visamo Kids Foundation started with 18 kids and it reached up to 90. As of now, 44 kids are passed out and enjoying their educated, empowered life and supporting to the society and family at large. Dr. K.R. Shroff had been a visionary and a person who lived with values, virtues, dedicated, hardworking life, who always cared for the society, and with his support, Visamo Kids Foundation is been nurtured since its inception years, and the kids are spreading smile across the world today.
Truly amazing work by Visamo Kids. My best wishes are always with them. Today we have Chandini from Visamo Kids with us. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hello, I'm Chandni Patel. I couldn't have got here where I'm today without the help of many people. My life has several pillars that hold it strong, and one of them is Pratul sir and Manjula Pooja Shroff ma'am. They are the stepping stones and backbones of my life made. I began my journey at 10 years when I entered Visamo. For me, Visamo is a feeling of happiness, a feeling of pride, a feeling of joy, success, gratitude, and of course, a blessing. Life was challenging before entering to Visamo, being raised by a single mother, but Visamo changed everything. From my education to one of the best schools of Ahmedabad, to taking a degree in electronics and communication in the Gujarat Technical University, and now working for the most eminent companies of the world, that is E-Infochips. Leaders like Pratul sir, who have showed us that secret to success lies in very, very simple things like hard work, persistence, and enhancing your behavioral and technical skills. For me, this is my second home. I cannot measure your contribution in my life. I can't thank you enough for everything you have given to me. When you realize how much people have done for you and how much you have been accomplished, you feel more gratitude and confident. I vow to count my blessings daily. I commit to express gratitude to Pratul sir, who has been the most influential person in my life. Thank you so much.
Now let's get back to the journey. Dr. Shroff was working as honorary professor and physician in civil hospital, where he used to spend morning 3 to 4 hours. In noon, he used to go to his private clinic, Bombay Mutual Building, Relief Road, Ahmedabad, and treat patient till evening. He did this thing continuously for 30 years. I would like to share one incident which I read in local newspaper. Once, senior physician called Dr. Shroff to treat patient. Patient was having one complaint, severe headache. Dr. Shroff saw patient's eyes and immediately told to transfer the patient to General Hospital. Further, he added that patient will die in next 30 minutes. In fact, in next 30 minutes, patient died. Postmortem report revealed that Dr. Shroff's diagnosis was 100% correct. So let's see some of his treatment practices and attitude towards patient and his medical profession.
He will keep no stone unturned to see the welfare of the patient. At times, if the patient is poor, we have seen if the medicines are not available from civil hospital, some medicines were not available. He used to give money from his own pocket and spend for medicines of that patient to see that he recovers. This was great. બીજા પેશન્ટમાં ફીવર આવતો હતો, ટેમ્પરેચર, એનું કારણ ખબર ના પડે. રૂટીન ટ્રીટમેન્ટ આપીએ, 4-5 દિવસ થયા પછી સાહેબે પેટ ઉપર હાથ મૂક્યો અને પેશન્ટનું જે લીવર કહીએ યકૃત એ તપાસતા સહેજ મોટું થયેલું દેખાયું. સાહેબે કહ્યું તમે જુઓ શું લાગે છે. અમે જોયું, અમને બી લાગ્યું કે ના સાહેબની વાત તો બરોબર છે. અને એના ઉપરથી અમે એમિબિક હિપેટાઇટિસ એ નિદાન કર્યું, એની ટ્રીટમેન્ટ કરી અને પેશન્ટ બીકેમ ઓલ રાઇટ. એ અરસામાં હી વોઝ કન્સિડર્ડ ટુ બી અ માસ્ટર. કોઈ બી એબનોર્મલ કેસ આવે, સાહેબનો હાથ પડે એટલે અમને લાગે કે હવે પાકું નિદાન થવાનું છે. This was our belief.
When I was a senior registrar under him, there was one poor jail person has come in the ward. He was some person, he was dirty and having passing urine and bowel he was on the floor bed because at that time there were a lot of admission in the hospital in our ward. So he was dirty, he was spoiling the whole background and it was smelling. And so I was allergic to smell. So I have not seen the patient. But when he came in the round, even he had sit down in the dirty place where he was voiding urine and stood and smelling a lot. But he has seen the patient thoroughly for 5 minutes and then saying at me, have you seen the patient? No, I'm aware of it. If you have seen the diagnosis, would not have missed because immediately he had just bent the neck and it was not bending the leg. It means it was a neck disease, means it is a meningitis. So I have missed, if I have seen, I would not have missed, but he had diagnosed. So he will see any patient without any, he will see each and every patient, he will see the treatment thoroughly from the case paper and he will try to ensure that he should know all the patient by heart rather than by seeing the paper. Whenever he say that this drug is not available in the institute, he will ensure that this drug should be given to the patient. And for that, any money required will be given by him.
So in civil hospital, there was one bed and then patient was on the floor. The bed and the patient on the floor because we were always overwhelmed by the volume of the people that we take care in his unit. So I have never seen an attending physician who will sit down on the ground and examine the patient. Amazing. He never was hesitant to sit down and see the patient or examine the patient, which is, in 70s was very unusual.
I remember one instance where a young man who was suffering from a severe tetanus. That gentleman was sick for 22 days in the hospital. We tried everything under the guidance of Srab Sahib. And every day, without fail, Srab Sahib spent plenty of time with the relatives to comfort them and keep up their morale. And when the patient got better, everybody's face was full of joy, and everybody's heart was extremely happy. And we saw the family and the patient walking out of the ward, and that was one of the greatest moments that I very distinctly remember after 50 years.
એમનો મેડિકલ આસ્પેક્ટ જે આપણે અંગ્રેજીમાં કહીએ ને, he had a sixth sense કે એ દર્દીને જુએ અને બે ચાર શબ્દ જે જ્યારે એ હિસ્ટ્રીમાં વાત કરે, જે દર્દી જ્યારે એની પોતાની હિસ્ટ્રી આપતો હોય એના પરથી એ ગેસ કરતા હતા, અને વિધાઉટ ઇન્વેસ્ટિગેશન મોસ્ટ ઓફ ધ ટાઈમ એ ગેસ એમનો સાચો પડતો હતો. વેરી એડમાયરેબલ, ઇટ ઇઝ ટુ બી એપ્રિશિએટેડ એન્ડ એડમાયરેબલ ક્વોલિટી. ગુજરાતની એક મોટી હસ્તી હાર્ટ એટેક સાથે અમારે ત્યાં દાખલ થઈ, અને અમે જોયું તો બધું હાર્ટ એટેકનું બધા ચિહ્નો હતા અને એ રીતે, પણ ઇસીજીમાં સહેજ કંઈક ગોટાળા જેવું લાગતું હતું, જે અમને લાગ્યું કે એ ટાઈપ ઓફ હાર્ટ એટેકની અંદર જ છે. બીજે દિવસ સવારના સાહેબ આવ્યા, સાહેબે બધું જોયું, હિસ્ટ્રી જોયું, અને એમણે તરત પહેલા જ કહ્યું કે તમે કંઈક પોઈઝનિંગનો વિચાર કર્યો છે? અમે કહ્યું ના, તો ક્લિયર કટ કેસ છે. એમને કહ્યું જરા તમે જુઓ ને એ કરી, અને પછી જે ટેસ્ટ કરતા ખબર પડી કે ઇટ વોઝ એકોનાઇટ પોઈઝનિંગ by given through Ayurvedic medicine, which was mimicking cardiac attack, એટલે heart attack mimic કરતું હતું. And that was a great, I mean, જરા સરખા વિચાર્યો અમને તો આવ્યો નહોતો એ કરીને, અને that is one of the medical thing which I remembered.
પેશન્ટને હિસ્ટ્રી લેવામાં 20 થી 25 મિનિટ કાઢે, બધી વસ્તુઓ સમજે, અને ડાયગ્નોસિસ પેશન્ટની વાત સાંભળ્યા પછી 90% એમનું સાચું હોય. પછી આગળ ઇન્વેસ્ટિગેશનની વાત, જે અત્યારના અમારા ડાક્ટરોને અનફોર્ચ્યુનેટલી પહેલા એક્સરે જોઈએ કે સીટી સ્કેન જોઈએ કે એમઆરઆઈ જોઈએ, પછી પેશન્ટ જોડે વાત કરીએ. જ્યારે આ પહેલા પેશન્ટ જોડે વાત કરવાની, નિદાન કરવાનું, પછી આગળ વધવાનું.
That was truly amazing and inspiring. Let's get back to Pratul Bhai to know about the journey of the foundation.
After the construction of Visamo Kids place, we continued to keep contributing to various causes such as Muni Sevashram near Baroda, or there was a leprosy foundation that was helping in leprosy near Kalol, leprosy people near Kalol. There was another one for disabled children called Menba Foundation, and Leuva Hitvardak Fund. So, but all of these were silent activities without any hoo-ha or visibility. In 2011, Uday approached me. He was at that time working with InfoChips as head of e-projects by Government of Gujarat. And the reason he approached me was that I kept talking about doing something for the society day in and day out, and year in and year out, with whoever I met within InfoChips, my colleagues, associates, etc. So in 2011, Uday approached me and asked me if I was serious about starting something on an active basis. So I kind of really took him up on his words and immediately agreed that he should transfer from InfoChips to the Dr. K. Ashraf Foundation. And that's how the current program of imparting primary education to the rural schools of North Gujarat started. To learn more about what's going on over there, now let's turn to Uday.
Journey of Dr. K. Ashraf Foundation in the area of education started in 2012. 21st June 2012, Thursday, Ashadi Beach, very auspicious day as per the Gujarati calendar. First meeting was conducted with 19 school principals in Hatharwa. After that, interview process was conducted with the help of Ma Foundation, and a team of 6 youngsters joined on board to conduct the classes for educationally weak students in 7 schools in Vadali Taluka. Journey started, and as of now we are working with more than 400 government schools in 11 taluka in Gujarat. As per the need, we expanded our footprint and started covering more and more subjects and more students. In 2014, we have started teaching English, mathematics and science for 6 to 8 standard students. In 2018, we have started covering middle schools for 9th and 10th standard students, and as of now, we have been working with more than 40 middle schools covering more than 2,000 students for English, mathematics and science subjects. We also realized that value education plays very important role in the transformation process of the students. Hence, with the help of Oasis, we started Hunchu Jyotidhar initiative to build our teachers. We also started value education classes called live classes for the students. This activity helped us a lot and connected us with the parents because they could see the changes in their children. And because of this initiative, the entire ecosystem has been created, and lot of parents have shown their interest in conducting these classes for their children. During last pandemic year, we have connected more than 10,000 students for this Sanskar Sinchan activity, and lot of appreciation had been received from the parents. We identified bright and meritorious students and provided them special coaching for National Merit Exam, NMMS exam, which can provide them ₹1,000 a month scholarship for 4 years. During last 2 years, 96 students are successful to get these scholarships with the help of our teachers. We also realize that for higher standard, teacher's role should be facilitator. There is always a shortage of good teachers in rural area. Hence, we have converted more than 1400 videos for mathematics and science subjects covering standard 1 to 10. Using these videos, students are able to learn their fundamental subjects with themselves, and in that case, our teacher is playing a facilitator role, asking them the basic questions related to fundamental points. This has created a new ecosystem in the learning methodology.
Thank you so much, Uday Bhai. That was educational and insightful. I am sure we will have amazing results in future for these children. But based on this, I have few questions for Pratul Bhai. Let's go and meet him once again. So Pratul Bhai, why focus on education? India need help in other sectors as well.
Well, essentially, our entire family believed very deeply in education, and education is probably one of the most important aspect for growth, whether it's a financial growth, economic growth, your knowledge growth, basically, and even growth as a humanitarian growth, right? So, essentially, education leads to knowledge, right kind of education, that's very important, and knowledge leads to liberation. So, but important thing to realize is that the education, when I'm talking about education here, I'm not talking about only textbook education. I'm also talking about the value system, the what Uday called early on sanskar sichan, the things like attitude, the things like ownership, things like empathy, confidence, self-confidence, all of that. All of that plays a huge role in success of anybody's life. And that's why we have focused along with the textbook education on this aspect as well. And I also believe that if the younger generation, today's kids in the school are taught that, and they develop and grow up to be truly educated, knowledgeable individuals, then a lot of India's problem will be solved in the long term by having the citizens that are truly knowledgeable. And that's why we believe that the primary education is the first priority.
True. On behalf of this, I would like to narrate one shloka. न चोरहार्यम न राजहार्यम न भातृभाज्यम न च भाराकारी व्यये कृते वर्धत एव नित्यम विद्याधनम सर्वधनम pradhanam. One wealth that Dr. Shroff was having, and that is education. That one cannot steal, not a single authority can take it from you, not even it can be partitioned with brothers. Amount you share, it will expand more and more. Now let's hear from his former students what they have to say.
Like our ancient scriptures advise us, if you want to learn spiritual science, you have to go to a guru who is a Kshotriyam Brahmanist. Like in Mandaka Upanishad, it says, Tat Vignanartham Sagurumev Abhigachet Samit Pani Kshotriyam Brahmanista. With a dry grass in your hand as a symbol of your readiness to serve the master, you approach a guru who is a Kshotriyam, very well versed in scriptures, and Brahmanista, who is established in Brahman. Similarly, for attaining the medical knowledge, I approached Dr. Shroff, and whatever I could achieve in the field of medicine, I owe it to Shroff. Such rare physicians and the masters, I was fortunate to be trained by. I will always remain grateful to such a great teacher, master, and a great soul. Namaskar.
He was somebody who can diagnose things without any x-rays, without anything. And then he taught us how he was doing all this. He had the skills, taking the history from the patient, understanding what he or she is concerned about, and how you can diagnose the problem and help them.
He was well disciplined, punctual in time, always dedicated to his students as well as patients. In our round, before he comes, he was very punctual, so we had to start our work much earlier in the morning. And during the round, he tried to teach us each and everything, ins and outs of the medicine. If some problematic case is there, he will ask, what do you think? And he will discuss and guide us to come to perfection. At times, in civil hospital, it is not necessary that we see each and every abnormal case. So, at times, he brought the patients from outside, from his private or any other place. If some unusual case is there, he will bring and take PG lecture on it. And we were fortunate to see such cases. I will put a slogan, simple living and high thinking. તમે જુઓ તો જ્યારે બી આવશે ત્યારે એમનો પેન્ટ અને બુશકોટ 365 દિવસ એ જ પહેરવાનું એ જ એમનો પોશાક, નો ચેન્જ. And he was very much down to earth, and whatever I have gained that is because of him only.
KR સાહેબ અમારે માટે એક આદર્શ ગુરુ કહી શકાય એવા પ્રોફેસર હતા અને એમણે અમને જીવનમાં ફક્ત મેડિસિન નહીં પરંતુ પેશન્ટ સાથેનું વર્તન, બિહેવિયર, દર્દી સાથેનું કેવું, પ્રમાણિકતા અને જીવનમાં કેવી રીતે જીવવાનું એ બધાનું ઉદાહરણ આપ્યું છે. અથવા તો સૂર્યના વખાણ દીવડા પાસે કરાવવા તેના જેવું મને ફીલ થાય છે. મારા શ્રોફ સાહેબને સત નમન.
પેશન્ટ બસ ડોક્ટરની જિંદગીમાં દર્દી એ જ ભગવાન છે જો શીખવા મળ્યું હોય એમના વર્તન પરથી, એમની ક્લિનિકલ સાયન્સ પરથી ને વગેરે પરથી મને લાગે છે કે આવા શિક્ષક મળવા મુશ્કેલ છે. 100 વર્ષનું આજે શતાબ્દી જ્યારે ઉજવાઈ રહી છે ત્યારે પ્રભુ જ્યાંથી પણ શ્રોફ સાહેબ છે ત્યાંથી અમારા બધા પર એમના આશીર્વાદ આપ્યા કરે. ગુરુ બ્રહ્મા, ગુરુ વિષ્ણુ, ગુરુદેવો મહેશ્વર, ગુરુ સાક્ષાત પરસ બ્રહ્મ, તસ્મૈ શ્રી ગુરુવે નમઃ. આવા અમારા લાડીલા માનીતા સદગુરુને અમે વંદન કરીએ છીએ અને કાયમ એમના અમારા પર આશીષ રહે જ્યાંથી હોય ત્યાંથી એવી પ્રભુને પ્રાર્થના કરી અને હું વિરમું છું.
He was very soft spoken, straightforward. He looked very kind, and he was very methodical, very systematic. And if we forgot, he never scolded us. He said, I'm here to get rid of your bad habits and put you on a straightforward way so you become good doctor. I learned medicine from him, but I learned something else also. How to live a life, how to be kind, how to be generous, how to be humble, and how to be gracious to other people.
I simply cannot believe on this video. I wish when I die, someone will sing a song for me.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You are getting fairly emotional.
Yeah.
So let's keep the program of crying later on. Right now, let's turn to Uday Bhai to know more about foundation.
Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation has been helping other NGOs and institutions working in healthcare and education domain. We have helped Nan Shala working for the underprivileged students in UP and Bihar states. We have also helped Lok Bharti Sanosra, an institution working on Gandhian philosophy. Lok Bharti Sanosra has been working at a grassroots level for the rural upliftment and the transformation. We have also provided support to Seva, internationally known organization working for the upliftment of the women. We have provided them support for conducting the mobile literacy training so that they can use mobile phone for their digital banking and day-to-day operations. We have provided support to the organization working in the healthcare domain. We had supported Muni Shivashram Goraj for their Kailas Cancer Hospital, and recently we have supported Gujarat Cancer Society Hospital for providing medical facilities to the cancer patients. We have also extended our help to Sadvichar Parivar for their various initiatives for the upliftment of underprivileged community. Sadvichar Parivar is also working for the transformation process of Gypsy community. We have supported them by deployment of our teachers in their educational facilities. Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation is always keen to provide support to other organizations, institutions and individuals working for the community services.
Thank you very much, Uday. Foundation where it is today is primarily because of Uday. His 10 years of dedication, devotion, and the passion for doing this and commitment has brought the Dr. K.R. Shroff Foundation where it is. And I feel really lucky and blessed that Uday came into my life and took up this cause. I also believe that some of his students, my dad's students, were equally inspired by him, and they actually got very passionate about medical profession, got committed to it in serving the other people and the patients and so on and so forth. He was a gentle soul, and he touched lives of all the others that he came in touch with. And similarly, he inspired some of his students to do extraordinary work. Now let's go and take a look at that. It's also amazing how a good deed can ripple through the entire society. I'm just truly grateful and thankful for all the things that have been done by my dad and some of his students that we will see now.
Now what I am doing at the moment is the honorary director of UM Mehta. I am also honorary teacher in DJ Medical College, which I followed through him. There are at the moment when he was giving 25,000 rupees per month to me for the treatment of poor patients if their drugs are. When I became a teacher in the same ward, same unit, same boss, I was giving 50,000 per month, which I followed through him. I will ensure that teaching what he was doing, I was also strict like him. So there are certain virtues and values.
લોકોની સેવા કરવાનું, લોકોને મદદ કરવાનું અને ભગવાને પોતે આપ્યું છે તે લોકોને પાછું આપવાનું જે કામ પ્રતુલભાઈએ કર્યું બહુ અનોખી રીતે કર્યું. તમારી તો જે લોકો આ બધું જોવે છે એ લોકોને ખાસ વિનંતી છે કે KR Shroff ફાઉન્ડેશનની જે યુટ્યુબ લિંક છે જોજો. ખ્યાલ આવશે કે કેવું મહત્વનું કામ કર્યા છે. એમને મન થયું કે હવે આપણે કેન્સર સોસાયટીની સાથે કામ કરીએ. મને થયું કે એમને સારા કામમાં જોડાવું છે. હું એમને કેન્સર અમારી GCS મેડિકલ કોલેજમાં લઈ ગયો. મેડિકલ કોલેજના જુદા જુદા વિભાગ બતાવ્યા અને શ્રોફ સાહેબનું આખું જીવન ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ ઓફ મેડિસિનના સિનિયર પ્રોફેસર તરીકે વીત્યું અને બહુ જ માનીતા અને લાડીલા પ્રોફેસર. એટલે જ્યારે અમારી નવી મેડિકલ કોલેજ GCS એ ખોલી ત્યારે મને વિચાર આવ્યો કે અમારું મેડિસિન વિભાગનું નામ શ્રોફ સાહેબના નામે આપીએ તો કેવું સારું. એ વિશે મેં મેડિકલ કોલેજના ડીન, ત્યાંના ટ્રસ્ટીઓ બધા સાથે ચર્ચા કરી. બધાને ગમ્યું અને આ નામ આપવા માટે પ્રતુલભાઈએ મોટી રકમની સખાવત કરી અને આ નામ કોલેજ તો ચાલુ છે પણ હવે આ નામ એ ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ KR Shroff મેડિકલ ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ તરીકે ઓળખાય છે.
Actually, I have given away 98% of my money. And that I learned from Dr. Shroff. I think he was a God to me. That is not God. What he taught me, nobody else can teach me.